Let's go. Hey everybody, it's CSEC Panda, and today we're taking a look at this Office Admin 2023 June paper, which you might also be revising on in the future. So let's jump into it. Many of these questions are repeated, so this is pretty easy, but let's go. Alright, question 1. Which of the following services is a function performed by the General Office? This is an often repeated question. The answer is C, producing information. So, question 2. The term span of control refers to another repeated question. The answer to this one is D, the maximum number of subordinates that a manager can supervise efficiently. All right. Question 3. In which of the following situations would the relationship between employees be described as vertical? Frequently repeated question as well. The answer here is A, one is senior to the other. Alright, question 4. Which of the following is the correct sequence to follow on receipt of a suspicious package? Our options are, or the steps are to lock the door, inform security, handle the package carefully, leave the office, and place the package away from you. There is some conflict about this question some of the time, but I generally answer it as C. I believe that you should handle the package carefully, place the package away from you, leave the office, lock the door, and inform security. I could see this going down in a few other ways that are maybe listed here, but that sounds like the most sensible one. Considering I am imagining them thinking the package might be a bomb or something, you would want to do that, in my opinion. Okay, so for question 5, Matchbox Limited is structured so that each department has control over its own mail, typing, photocopying, and filing. This method is described as, and so the answer here is, C, decentralized, because it's not one place that they're doing all this, it's spread out over a bunch of different locations. Okay, so question 6. A large office space with many employees working in the same area is referred to as, this is a repeated question. The answer here is D, open plan. We're sure about that? Alright, 7. I've heard some people have different ideas about this question, but the major difference between an operator-assisted call, and a direct call, for me, I'm pretty sure the answer again is D, the monitoring by the operator. Okay, so for question 8, dissemination of information in any organization may be best described as, this one was kind of close, between the options of ensuring that information is safe, not that, collecting all information in the office, no, distributing information to all departments, and sharing important information to the public. There is some conflict about this question some of the time, but I generally answer it as C. Okay, so number 9, a confidential letter addressed to the employer is received in a torn condition. The mail clerk should return the letter to the mail department, B, refuse to accept the envelope from the mail department, C, put the letter into a new envelope and deliver it by hand to the employer, D, attach a note to the envelope and deliver it by hand to the employer. Again, I chose D. And I cannot remember this being explicitly stated in the text. And then when I looked it up after, I wasn't totally sure, but D, I think, would have been the best option here, that you'd add a note that says that it was received in damaged condition, and that's why it looks like this. That seems to be what I remember to do, so I went with that. For question 10, we ask, an unsolicited letter of application may be written when a company advertises a vacancy, an application is sent inquiring about a vacancy, the company's application form is made available, or D, an application is sent in response to an advertisement. So unsolicited is given the clue that it's B, an application is sent inquiring about a vacancy. So that was my answer for number 10. For number 11, which of the following pieces of equipment may be used for stamping mail? A jogger, a collator, a duplicator, or a franking machine? Okay, this is a popular idea. Franking machine is the answer here. For question 12, which of the following is an optional section of a resume? Is it education, contact information, list of academic awards, or skills and work experience? If you look closely, the only one of these things that is not necessarily a requirement is C, list of academic awards. So C is the answer that I chose here. Alright, and we're going to move right on to question 13. Right, question 13. Letter of acceptance is sent when a person A receives a salary through the bank, B plans to attend an interview for a job, C agrees to take up an offer for an appointment or D receives original documents sent with an application. So when you look at this, you realize that the answer should be C. Agrees to take up a job offer. So yeah. Okay, question 14. Which of the following guidelines should be followed by an interviewee during a job interview? Remain pleasant and alert, be confident when answering questions, maintain minimal eye contact with the interviewer. So as you can hear, that just sounds like the answer here is supposed to be 1 and 2, which 1 and 2 only. Okay. Alright, here we're looking at question 15 now. You're being interviewed for a job and no mention is made of promotional opportunities. Which of the following actions should be taken if you're interested in having such information? Ask about it before the close of the interview? Yes. Or should you do these other things that are not as direct? You should not. So the answer is A for 15. Ask about it before the close of the interview. Right, 16. I'm trying to find the balance here between people watching this for the first time and people watching these things for the 11th time. Cramming for exams. So, repeat a question here. Number 16, the correct index and title of a file for Peter Kenneth John Doe. And these personal titles, well, not personal titles, but what do you call these? These suffixes to his name is what I'm going to call them right now. The correct one here you'd be looking for is John Doe, Peter Kenneth, and then his titles over there. So the answer for 16 would be B. Right. Question 17. Which of the following methods of filing classification would be most suitable for a manufacturing company with distribution throughout the Caribbean? Subject, numerical, geographical, or chronological? The answer here, based on throughout the Caribbean, is C, geographical, for number 17. All right. Number 18. As a junior employee, you are required to file correspondence for the following companies. This is a repeated question I'm just noticing here. The trick with this is that they want you to know that the 8 here would be treated as if it was the letter at the beginning of the number, so B and E. So based on that, you would have Dr. Dalton being D. That's not necessarily the answer to the thing I'm saying though. He'd be first, and then you'd have the 8-hour cleaning service, and then you'd have Georgina the dress shop, and then the tree filing company. So the answer for 18, yes, in fact, is D, and that's why, right? Repeated question there, so this is the first time you're seeing it, you're likely to see it again in other videos. Alright, 19. Clara Lee is paid this basic wage of $8 an hour for a 40-hour work week and $9.60 an hour for overtime work. So last week, Claire worked 48 hours. What was her total wage for the week? So you'd be multiplying 40 times 8, and then you'd be doing 8 times 960 to calculate the overtime. You'd be adding those together. And if my calculations and your calculations match, you would get $396.80. But even if I've chosen the wrong answer through something, that's the calculation you would use. That part is correct, okay? Sometimes I don't like to stress the answers as much as the formula for getting there, so yeah. The term cross-referencing refers to documents that are files under different headings, right? So for 20, the answer would be D. That's literally what cross-referencing is for. When two different headings refer to the same people in the same file, cross-reference. 21, the purpose of maintaining a reception register in an organization. This was a different question for me. is to record the number of persons who visit the organization, identify the firms which conduct business with the organization, record the names of persons who did not make an appointment, or to locate the names of persons who attend functions of the organization. Looking at this, the reception register is the book that they sometimes ask you to sign when you're going into places, so A felt like the best answer here. But I never really knew it was so much to record the number of persons, but like more so their details, but okay, we'll take that. So 21 was A. So now 22, which of the following items would be recorded as a motion in the meeting minutes? An alteration to a resolution, an amendment to the minutes, a formal proposal made by a member, or an addition to the resolution after it has been passed. The answer for this one is C. A proposal made by a member would be a motion at a meeting. So, yeah. So on this side, we look at number 23. Get this to... No, come on, don't do that. All right. 23. The Accounts Department has requested a file from the Central Filing Department. Which of the following actions should the file clerk take? Find out if the file is available, complete an outsheet, and place it in the file. Ask the person receiving the file to sign for it. I read that bad, but, you know. This is a question I got wrong, and somebody alerted me to this in the 2022, I believe it was. One of the videos I've done before this on OA Paper 1, which is not many, so you should be able to find it. I had it as D, I originally thought, all of the above, but as the person pointed out, this thing where you place the outsheet in the file, the outsheet goes in the folder that the file was taken out of, like the slot where it goes in the filing cabinet. So maybe they were not asking you to include all of them based on that. And so it would be find out if the file is available and ask the person receiving the file to sign for it. I am now in favor of 1 and 3 only for this particular question. Yeah? So yeah. 24. What is the correct order in which the following headings should appear in the minutes of the meeting? Minutes of the last meeting, apologies for absence, matters arising. So in this case, it would be apologies for absence, minutes of the last meeting, and matters arising. So for 24, the answer would be B, right? That one though. Okay, 25. In a meeting, the role of a proxy is to present the agenda, put forward motions, act on behalf of an absent member, or collect votes from all in attendance. The answer for 25, this is a repeated question. C. Act on behalf of an absent member. That's what a proxy will do. They can vote for the person in place of the person when they are there. 26 now. At the annual general meeting of Verona Enterprises, an equal number of votes were cast for and against a motion. What action should the chairperson take to break the tie? The answer here is A, exercise the casting vote. Another repeated question since 2022. Casting vote is a superpower for tie-breaking that the chairperson has. Alright, so now 27 asks which of the following items of business is not discussed at an annual general meeting. The declaration of dividends, no. The election of direction. Sorry. Option B is the election of directors and auditors. Option C, making arrangements for a very important person. Or D, presentation and adoption of the company's reports. So if you've read the textbook at all, it would be C. Making arrangements for a very important person is weird, but the rest of these things very much so happen at AGMs. That's what they're for, right? 28 refers to the following extract from an airline schedule. You see a flight is leaving and arriving again. This is a repeated question, and they ask, the schedule above shows the aircraft will stop in Antigua on its way to Jamaica from St. Lucia. How long will the aircraft be on the ground in Antigua? So, if you look at the time between here, 5:25, and the time of departure here at 8:30, do a little bit of counting, you should get if you did this correctly, 3 hours and 5 minutes. So yeah, That's the answer there. I want to get it again. A is 28, right? Well, 28 is A. Alright, now 29, we're looking at some firms offer a program which assists new employees in becoming familiar with their jobs. This program is referred to as A, an appraisal, B, an induction, C, a deployment, or D, a recruitment. So for 29, the answer is B, an induction. Induction training helps to get the workers in, induce them, if you will, into the company, so that's what that's called. Number 30, one of the most important functions of the Human Resource Department is introducing new employees, receiving visitors to the firm, ensuring proper communication, or attending to the welfare of employees. The answer for 30 is D, attending to the welfare of employees. You do see that question repeated? So yeah. Okay, 31. As a supervisor, you are expected to assess workers for a merit award. Which of the following should not be taken into consideration? A, salary scale, B, personal qualities, C, punctuality and regularity, or D, initiative and problem solving problems. In this case, the answer for 31 is A, salary scale is something that you shouldn't consider, but merit is literally all the rest of these, so yeah. Okay, so question 32, we're just over halfway now. Which of the following deductions can be made from wages without obtaining permissions from the employee? Income tax, national insurance, or company health scheme? This question has to do with voluntary and statutory deductions. Ones that you can not avoid would be income tax and national insurance. You got to pay those. So the answer here is A, 32. Right? You are going to have to pay those no matter what. So yeah. I thought I was going to say something more intelligent to help you guys out there, but I lost it. Okay, 33. At the beginning of the year, a firm employs 50 persons. During the year, 10 of these persons leave the firm. So which of the following represents labor turnover? So you do a bit of mathematics here. What percent of 50 is 10? And if my math and your math match, we would come up with B, 20%, is the number of the new people who left. Well, the percentage. So that's the labor turnover figure, B. 34, which of the following would have a major effect on labor turnover? Appraisal reporting, okay, staff development, working conditions, or terms of employment. For this, because they said major, I feel like working conditions would be the answer because it would affect everybody in a big way. So C felt like the answer for 34. Actually, if I move this, we could keep that though. Okay, so 35 asks, I'm sorry about that, got a car going by. The term verbatim minutes refers to a record prepared in the present tense, a detailed recording of the chairman's remarks, an extract of important proceedings in the minutes, or D, an exact wording of the proceedings. 35 is D, an exact wording of the proceedings. That's what verbatim means. Right. And 36, which of the following documents is sent by the seller when a customer has been undercharged? So, undercharged, the answer here, is it invoice, inquiry, quotation, or debit note? It's D, debit note. If they had been overcharged, this would have been a credit note. So, yeah, just so you know that. But in this case, because they were undercharged, it's a debit note, right? So 36 was D. 37, a customer who has credit facilities from a firm should expect to receive a record of payments and purchases made each month on A, an invoice, B, an advice note, C, a statement of account, or D, a reconciliation statement. Alright, so for 37, the answer here is C, a statement of account, which is essentially a list of what you have paid and what you bought and now owe again, and it has a running total on it, so you can keep track of that. Alright. 38. An ex officio committee member is one who A. is appointed by majority vote, attends meetings by virtue of office, votes on behalf of an absent member, or manages the proceedings of the meeting. So this one is B. Alright, so the answer was B. Attends meeting by virtue of office, so if somebody's important and they need to be there, they don't need to have a function besides that, they're just there because of. 39. Which of the following is the best method of payments to be used by a company when purchasing a small box of paperclips? Is it cash, check, credit card, or money order? For this question, I am convinced the answer is A, cash, preferably petty cash, because it's a box of paperclips and none of these other things make sense at all. Alright, so for 40, we're almost there. In a cash book, all monies received are indicated as a deposit, a deduction, a credit entry, or a debit entry. In a cash book, debit means in, so this would be a debit entry. So now we ask question 41. We have some choices to make here. In what order, they ask, should a secretary complete the following procedures when preparing for a meeting? I have seen this question before. Collect stationery for use at the meeting, ensure that a venue is booked, send notices of the meeting and agenda to all members, and collect information required to use at the meeting. So what order should those things happen in? In this case, you're looking for B. So they're going to book the venue, they're going to send the notices to everybody who needs to come to this, they're going to collect the information that we're going to need to use at the meeting, and then we're going to, make sure we have the stationery and stuff. So, yeah. Alright, so B. 42, we're looking at 42 and 43. Let's just jump straight to the question. So the term E and OE on the invoice, which stands for errors and omissions accepted, if you didn't know. What does it indicate? That Mr. Lee should not regard this document as a request for payments? Not really. That garden supplies and plant care services can later correct any errors made when preparing the bill? Okay. Or is it C? Garden supplies and plant care services may not have included all the items that he ordered. Or D? He can hold the company to the terms of the sale as shown on the invoice. So for this question, I was between B and C because I think both of those are accurate. The errors and omissions accepted, that literally, B and C are pretty much correct answers. So by a slight margin, I chose B. But I could easily see how it could have been C. I just chose this because by a slight margin, as I say, error and an omission could be taken as the same thing. So if I had to pick one to cover everything, I'd pick B. That's my reasoning. Let me know in the comments if you would have done something different. Okay, so what is the total amount that Mr. Lee should pay to settle his bill? Based on that, I actually showed you this too much before, but this is where the E and OE was. So based on this, the big deal here is that he's going to have his total, which is this, and then he's going to add 10% to that because it's a sales tax. So that 10% would be $55.60, if I'm not mistaken. And my calculations brought me to D. 611.60. Let me know if you got something different. It's possible that I did this wrong. So, yeah. Okay, question 44. What is the first step that a businessman should take if his cash book and bank statements show a difference? This is a frequently repeated question and concept. He should reconcile his bank statement with his cash book. That's what he should do. That's why bank reconciliation exists. Question 45 asks, when the 24-hour clock is showing 18:30 hours, the time on the 12-hour clock is what? If it's a time beyond 12 noon, you just add 12 and how much ever. to reach the time that's shown. So 12 and 6 is 18, 18:30. So you're going to have 6. So 45, the answer would be B. 46, a printed pamphlet which describes goods for sale is called a leaflet, a price list, a catalog, or a sales inquiry. The best answer here is a catalog, as far as I could tell. So I went with that. 46 was C. 47, the Joy High School wants to build a new canteen and has received promotional material from several firms. In order to select the most suitable firm for the job, the school should invite firms to send tenders, price lists, catalogs, or statements. The answer here for 47 is A, tenders. So that's the thing? Yeah. This page is blank, okay. 48 and 49 are looking at the following form. It's a stock record, so this is goods going in and out of storage. We are looking at this to see, in question 48, how many pencil cases were issued on September 5th. Okay, so, excuse me, we're going to look for September 5th here. And we're going to look for issues or out, and we see 40, so we're going to put B, 40. As simple as that seems, right? So, in this case, I'm going to have to go down to see that, yeah. 49, the total number of... Alright, you need to hear that. The total number of pencil cases received. So you just be looking at the total of the end column here. 75 and 20, by my calculations, should have taken us to 95. So I put A, 95, 85, 95, yeah. Alright, so we are going to move on to question 50, getting there. Question 50, the use of a perpetual inventory system in a large department store enables the calculation of stock levels and values at specific intervals. D is the answer there. This is a repeated question, so yeah. 51, the company in which you were employed uses a COD, system for selling goods. COD means cash on delivery, and so cash on delivery is here, like the guys will come in the truck or the van and you pay them for the thing. It's cash on delivery. Alright, so an employee's gross earnings were $182.80. Statutory deductions were $22. Voluntary deductions $9.80. What was the net pay, or the amount of money they got to take home? If I did these calculations correctly, I'm always nervous about that, and people always want the correct answer, but I got A when I did this, 151. I think maybe that makes sense, but, you know, you can see how the math would be there, right? You start with the amount of money they had, you take away their deductions, whatever you have left is their net pay. So for 53, the operations office is responsible for planning and organizing the A, cost of production, B, marketing of goods, C, employees' contracts, or D, production processes. So for this one, I chose D, production processes. But I also suspect that the answer easily could have been A, cost of production, which is technically, you know, like a really good answer. But when they said planning and organizing, I thought that sounded like clues a little bit more to favor D. So that's what I chose, right? So I'd basically say that D is the answer I'd go with. I could see people disagreeing with this. Let me know in the comments if you did something different or why you did, so people in the future can benefit from claiming that mark and understanding better. Item 54 is going to be looking at the movement of stock in this. What is the cost of the closing stock at the end of May using the FIFO method? FIFO means first in, first out. So it means that we would sell the things we got in January before we sell the things we got in February. So if we had 30 of these total, that says 30, and this is the total amount that came in, then this is the total amount that went out. These 20 would be gone in a certain order. So all 15 from January at 35 would be gone, and then 5 from February. Wow. 5 from February would be gone, and the effect of that would be that there would be 10 from February left. So you'd have 10 at 30, and that would be 300. So the answer to 54 is A. That's basically how FIFO works, so yeah. 55, what is the main difference between order forms and requisition forms? Order forms are usually not signed while requisition forms are signed. B, requisition forms are usually not signed while order forms are signed. Requisition forms are used externally while order forms are used internally. Or D, order forms are used externally while requisition forms are used internally. So the difference is internal and external. Specifically, it's D. Order forms are used externally to buy things from other companies. Requisition forms are used internally to get things from, I want to call it downstairs in the storeroom, but yeah. So 56 asks, which of the following cards are least likely to be used in the factory office? This question caused some concern on the last paper that I did. It seemed as if the answer that we all agreed on after some time was A, bin card, like a storage bin requisition card, was least likely to be used, while a job card, a cost card, and a time card had a much greater chance of being used. I think I had a slightly different answer, maybe, in a previous video, so this is the updated thought on that. Alright. Items 57 and 58 refer to the following documents from Zena's Upholstery. What is the total cost of labor is the first question we're asked about this. So we'd be looking at the materials, and we'd be getting the total of that, 600 plus 250 plus 60. And then we would be subtracting the total cost of the job, well, taking the total cost of the job at 1200, subtracting the total of these things, so 600, 250, and the 60. See how bad my handwriting is? That's so bad. Anyway, so that would be happening. Whatever you get from there would be the total cost of the label. So for 57, when I did this, I got A. My mathematics could be wrong, but my reasoning is right, so that's what you would do. And you would get the cost of label, which is a question mark here. 58, the unit cost of one cushion is, so to find the unit cost or cost per unit, you'd be taking the total cost of the job here and dividing it by the number of things that we made, which was 20 cushions in this case. When I did the mathematics on that, literally I got B, $60. Let me know if you got something different, and how you got it, if it was different, but I think that should be fine. 59 and 60, we're getting there. An order for the supply of 4 new laptops was delivered on the 4th of January 2021. The amount due for payment is subject to a 5% discount if the bill is paid within 28 days. The total cash discount is... So a cash discount is this 5% that they're going to get off for paying within a certain amount of time. So that's the definition that they're checking you for. And the next part of this question has to do with some math. So when I did this, I got to a 134 because I found 5% of this number, and that's what it seemed to be to me. Way you could do this is move the decimal point twice till you get 2680, and then multiply that, wow, by 5. You should get 5%, so yeah. Alright, and then for the last question, question 60, which document used in shipping is both a contract for carriage and a document of title? Frequently repeated question. The answer is B, a bill of lading. That's what's going on there. Contract for carriage and a document of title. You own the stuff that you're shipping. That's what's going on. Thank you for staying with me all the way through this paper. As a surprise for some of you, I am Miss Panda. Like, half of you thought I was a dude through this whole thing, because I got a voice that's leading you to think that, and you can't see me. If you could see me, you would never think that. But, I don't do face on this, so at least not now, who knows. Thanks for staying this long. Please do the liking, the commenting, especially if you got a different answer. Those are so fun to leave, and the sharing if you found that there was anything here that you needed to get checked over by your teachers or your people you're studying with, or literally anything. But yeah, that's the end of the test, the end of the June in this case, 2023 Office Admin, Paper 1. I hope that you got what you needed out of this, and until next time, all the best with your studying.